I am 28 years old. I have been with my husband Ryan for 2 years. In the beginning, everything was perfect. We were happy. We laughed. We talked. And life felt easy. But now, things have changed. Ryan says I am not a good wife. He says I am selfish. He says I don't care about him enough. His words hurt me deeply. Every day it feels like I can't do anything right. No matter how much I try, he finds fault in me. I feel sad all the time. I cry almost every day. I cook, I clean, I try to be kind, but it's never enough. He tells me I only think about myself. He says I need to do more for him and his family. It hurts me so much. I try to show him how much I care, but nothing changes. Sometimes I feel scared. I am afraid to spend money on myself because Ryan might call me selfish. I am afraid to take a break from work because he might say I'm lazy. I am afraid to rest because he will say I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm losing myself in this marriage. One day, after another fight, I went to my room and cried for hours. I kept asking myself, why am I the only one who has to change? Why can't he see how much I am trying? When Ryan came into the room, he looked at me and said, "Why are you still crying? You make everything about yourself." I tried to explain. My voice was shaking. I just want to be happy. I just want to feel like I am enough for you, I said. But he didn't respond. He just walked away. I sat there, feeling so alone. That night, I thought about everything, the good times, the bad times, and how much I've changed. I realized something. I can't live like this forever. I can't keep changing myself for someone who doesn't see me for who I am. I need to love myself first. The next day, I decided to focus on myself. I started going for walks. I spent time with my friends. I picked up a new hobby. For the first time in a long while, I tried to find happiness for myself. Not for Ryan, but for me. At first, Ryan didn't like it. He said, "You're changing. You're not the same person I married." But I knew I needed this change. I needed to find peace within myself. One day I told him, "I can't keep trying to make you happy if you're never happy with me. I need to take care of myself. I need to be happy with who I am." He didn't say anything, but for the first time in a long while, I felt strong. Since that day, I've been learning to love myself again. I still love Ryan, but I know I can't lose myself trying to please him. Maybe this is the beginning of something new, or maybe it's the start of the end. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. I am enough. I always have been. It had been a few months since I decided to take control of my life. Focusing on myself wasn't easy, especially when Ryan didn't fully understand why I was doing it. Some days he was distant. Other days he seemed curious about the changes I was making. But through it all, I held on to one truth. I deserved to feel happy and whole. One evening, I was sitting in the living room reading a book. Ryan came home from work, looking tired. He glanced at me, but didn't say anything. I wanted to ask him how his day was, but I also didn't want to start a conversation that could turn into an argument. So I stayed quiet. "Why don't we talk anymore?" he finally asked, breaking the silence. I looked up, surprised. "I don't know," I replied. I looked around. Maybe because every time I try, it feels like I'm saying the wrong thing. Ryan sat down across from me. For the first time in a long time, he looked vulnerable. "I know I've been hard on you," he admitted. I don't know how to fix things." His words surprised me. I had spent so long trying to fix our marriage on my own that I never thought Ryan would admit he might be part of the problem too. That night, we talked, really talked. I told him how I felt, how his words and actions had made me feel small and unworthy. And for the first time, he listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't get defensive. He just listened. "I never meant to hurt you," he said softly. "I guess I was taking my own frustrations out on you. Work has been stressful and I didn't know how to deal with it. But it's no excuse." Hearing him take responsibility was a step forward, but I wasn't ready to forgive everything just yet. "Ryan, I need you to understand something," I said. "I can't keep giving everything to this relationship if it's only me trying. I need you to meet me halfway." He nodded. "I'll try," he said. And for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope. Over the next few weeks, things started to change. Ryan made an effort to be kinder, more understanding. He began asking me about my day, showing genuine interest in my life. I, in turn, tried to let go of some of the resentment I had been holding on to. It wasn't easy, but it felt like we were both trying to rebuild what we had lost. One weekend, Ryan surprised me by planning a small getaway to a cabin in the countryside. "I thought we could use some time away," he said with a shy smile. The cabin was beautiful, surrounded by trees and the sound of a nearby stream. We spent the weekend hiking, talking, and just enjoying each other's company. For the first time in a long time, I felt like we were partners again. But even with these positive changes, I knew there was still a long way to go. Healing takes time, and trust doesn't rebuild overnight. I continued to prioritize myself, making sure I didn't lose sight of my own needs. I still went for walks, spent time with friends, and explored my hobbies. One day, during one of our evening conversations, Ryan asked, "Do you think we'll be okay?" I thought about it for a moment before answering. "I think we have a chance," I said, "but it's going to take work for both of us." That evening, I realized something important. Love isn't just about the good times. It's about weathering the storms together and coming out stronger on the other side. Ryan and I were far from perfect, but we were trying, and for now, that was enough. As I lay in bed that night, I felt a sense of peace. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for sure. I was no longer the woman who felt small and powerless. I had found my voice, my strength, and my worth. And whether Ryan and I made it or not, I knew I would be okay. Moral of the story? Self-love is important in any relationship. You cannot make others happy if you lose yourself in the process. True love means supporting and respecting each other. Always remember, you are enough just the way you are. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video.